Hello, and welcome to SG Squared. Pastor Steve Gladen pulls from over 25 years of small group ministry experience to encourage and equip listeners like you to lead small group ministry. So let's listen and learn together.
Welcome to SG Squared. Steve Gladen on small groups. Derek here with the man, Steve Gladen. And Steve, it is game week, baby. Are you ready?
It is game week, and a little pre-show banter ahead. So you guys may be going, Steve, you're rarely scarleted out. Derek, you're rarely purpled out, and so it is something I know. If anything, you guys have wrote in on the show. It's whenever we talk about college football, you hate it, but trust me, this is going to pertain. This show is going to pertain to. This is a microcosm of what our nation is feeling and what we got to do, because when teams lose, Eric, when teams lose, people can be really upset and be very angry and stuff like that. And if you don't know how to handle it, that's a tough thing. Now you blow that out, Derek and I will still be friends no matter who wins. One of us is going to be super sad. Matter of fact, we are filming this show ahead of the game on Saturday because the show is going to air October 1st, and our game will just happen the Saturday before. And if we did it after we did it on October 1st, strong chance we'd be giving you a real life case study of what's going on. So we can't do that.
Or a strong chance that we wouldn't even have a show because I don't think one of us would want to see the other.
Yes, it would be. It would be special, should we say, and all that. So it's a crazy thing. But Derek, you how are you feeling? You had to make a prediction. Who's winning?
You know what?
The Ohio State Buckeyes or the Washington Huskies? Woof woof.
It's hard to go against the number one team, which is you guys, coming into play an unranked team like us, the mighty Washington Huskies. But we're at home. And it's one of the loudest, hardest places to play. And so I'm all in. I'm saying go Dogs. I think we're going to win by 1 point and upstate the Ohio State Buckeyes and send you back to Columbus crying.
Well, I was going to say, I hope you don't crack our Buckeye nut, but then... Yeah, I think I would go. It's going to be a close game no matter what. I'm gonna take us by 3. It's just going to really depend. First year quarterback, way new, way young, playing in your stadium, which I know is crazy. You guys haven't been up to Washington. It's a beautiful stadium, beautiful landscape. But like I said, the show is going to pertain to, this is a microcosm when you talk about college football, pro football, sports in general. But if you've watched anything, if you haven't been under a rock the last month, our nation is very on edge. And it's just not in the United States, it's in other countries too. But the point is that unless you know how to deal with people in the right way, and the larger your platform, the bigger the megaphone and the bigger you're going to get barbs at. And so what I want to do is I want to set this up in the church world. Now, this is predominantly a show based to small group point people, but this is going to pertain because what's going to happen, and I even as an elder, I've had to handle with this, with small groups being fractionalized, saw it through COVID, saw it through these latest events in the United States. And so what I want to do is I want to set this up, and then Derek and I are going to walk through 10 practical things. But before we start this, what I want to do is I want to get it so that you can understand where your heart needs to come from. So both of these setups, what I'm going to talk about, and then the 10 things we're going to go through, both will be in the show notes. So we'll have them for you. Just want to make sure that, you guys have practical tips on how to deal with upset people. And you're always going to have them. It is humanity. It's the way it's going to go. So Derek, anything else you want to say before I just jump into setting the groundwork and then we'll get into the 10 ideas?
No, I think this is Just an incredible topic to cover. Like you said, one, because of just what we're going through in our nation, with the passing of Charlie Kirk and so much other uh, violence. And people are talking about rhetoric, but the key is having peaceful debate and having peaceful conversations, right? And talking
Yeah.
out our differences. But then when you go to the ministry side of things, whether it's small group ministry or really any ministry, I mean, if
Yeah.
you're in full time ministry as a small group point person or a pastor, you are going to have upset people. You are going to have to know how to deal with conflict because you're in the people business, right? So I think this is critical timing. And I think these 10 ways to engage upset people are crucial for everybody to know. So I would encourage everybody to take out your notepad on your phone or a notepad and a pen and jot these down.
Yeah, and if you're listening on podcasts, like I said, we'll have them in the show notes. But let me start off with a few scriptures right now. James 1:19 says, everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to become angry. That's James 1:9. Proverbs 15:1 says, a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. Proverbs 15:1. Another one right here is 1 Peter 4:8. Most important of all, continue to show deep love for each other. Love covers a multitude of sins. And probably one of the biggest things that I've always known is that proximity breeds empathy. And so the closer you can be to people, the more empathy that you can feel and they can feel too as you're dealing with issues. So, really quick, let me set this up. Kurt Johnston, our regional pastor, gets credit for all this because he sent this to all of our campuses, um, and he's just a whiz with condensing things. And then I'm going to go into 10 ideas that Derek and I have thought through that are practical things. So this is going to set up before you even engage the people, some thoughts you need to understand. Engage quickly. Time creates frustration. One of the things that you have to understand is that the longer you wait when people are frustrated, it gives them, when there's a void in reacting to an issue, what happens is people fill it with the thoughts that they're thinking, which tend to be from the enemy. The enemy is always going to take you to the worst possible scenario, the worst possible thing. I don't know if you've ever not heard from somebody and you're always thinking, oh, they hate me, or I did something wrong, or I should have wished them a happy birthday, last year or something like that. But engage quickly. Time creates frustration. Next point, before you're talking to the person, check your heart, your motives, your assumptions, your biases, all beforehand. That makes pretty much sense. You got to come into this very neutral, stay hard on the gospel, light on politics, light on everything else. You want to make sure you centered everything there and curb your biases, because we're all going to have opinions. I know it's crazy to think through this, but there are Christians on all sides of the aisle, and we're going to be surprised when we get to heaven. But the point is that a lot of times people are bringing their biases, not the Bible, to them in the conversation. Third thing is listen, learn, and lead with humility. Be humble about everything. What your first conversation doesn't have to be your last conversation. So know that you can always interplay with multiple conversations. There's been many times, and a lot of my data points are coming back from COVID, but many times I've had to have multiple conversations with people because they were so upset they just couldn't process everything in the moment to make a rational decision. I love this piece that Kurt came up with. He says, use feel, felt, and found. And that is, thanks for how you feel, which is great to understand. People are always wanting to be understood, or at least known that they're heard. Others have felt the same way. And so, there's other people that are feeling the same way you are. And then here's what we found. And this is your opportunity to be a pastor and bring some of those nuggets that we're going to talk about in this next section of the show of, how you can show things that you've found that have helped people process and learn stuff. And then a key point is, and I've known this in church ministry that I've done for almost 40 years, the higher their investment in the church, the higher priority you should give them. It is super, super important that you understand that people, um, sometimes they are very, very French. It doesn't diminish how they feel, but the problem is that we hold so much stock in the silent majority versus, I mean, in the vocal minority than the silent majority. And look at how your people who have been invested in your church, who know you. So often, especially we're in a church transition, people just don't know Andy well enough. If you know his heart, you would understand where he's coming from, and all of us have a background. So, Derek, I don't know if you have anything on those before we jump into the 10 ideas we want to give on dealing with upset peeps, but
Oh,
we
that
can kind of
was
go from there.
that was a great list in itself. I mean, man, if you can just get those down before the actual meeting, the meeting is gonna go 10 times better than if you didn't have those. So those were key. So yeah, now let's jump into these 10 ideas for engaging the upset person. So you've heard that list. That was key. And now it's the day of the meeting. And we're going to start with number one here. Start the time in prayer. Break that down for us, Steve.
Yeah. So, yeah, let me give up two things to start us off, and then we'll jump into the 10 topics. So, Derek, I messed you up on the show notes right there. So, that's my bad. But as you're coming to the meeting, there's two things you want to make sure you do. One of them is you want to start the time in prayer. Make sure that you are bathing everything in the Holy Spirit, because when you're going to engage in these 10 things, it's going to be important that you can start with prayer, pray for calm, pray for unity, not uniformity, but pray for unity, and pray for harmony in the body. You want to pray against divisiveness that's out there. The second thing is you want to make sure you're in a place that's quiet, and if it can be public, that's even better. But sometimes it's hard to get both those things. But if you can be in a semi public place, but you can have a private little corner that you can deal with, so that you can just be able to have a good conversation. So that's a little bit of the setup. So now the first thing right now is listen actively and empathetically. You want to allow them to express their feelings. Feelings aren't facts. And you have to know that, when you're engaging with people, make sure your phone is off. You want to be looking at them. You cannot drift. One of the things through COVID that I caught myself doing was, because I had had hundreds. I know you're thinking, oh no, not through COVID. Remember, COVID was about 3 years, but hundreds of conversations with people at coffee shops. And the problem is, you've heard the song and dance before of what they're upset about, and what can happen sometimes is you can drift. So you got to listen actively. That means your eyes are on them, and then you want to be empathetic. And that means you got to be caring. You want to acknowledge what they heard, saying, "This is what I thought you said," and you want to be able to get through with that.
Yeah, 100%. If you don't start with this, the meeting's going to go pretty bad, I would say. If you're just going to come out firing with, what you think the person did wrong, no, you want to listen actively. Like you said, eye contact, nodding your head,
Mm.
affirming them, and then speaking those little cues like I understand. That sounds tough. You're bringing the wall down, right? You're getting in their shoes. So great stuff. Okay, that was number one. Number two, validate their feelings.
Yeah. And just a reminder too that in the show notes, these are expanded on a little bit more, but I just want to give you the highlights with them. But yeah, validating their feelings, you're basically, you just want to help them understand, you understand why they're frustrated. You can see why this would bring this. You can see why they may be coming from this angle. I mean, one of the constant things that you can sometimes hear people saying is, when they're upset about something, is you just want to be able to say, I can see where that you're coming from with that. Because when you, again, the better you can know them, and I should have said this at the top of the show, is you got to know as much information about the people you're talking to as possible. If you don't know the information, make sure you can get to understand their story For me, it's like, how did you come to Saddleback? Why did you come to Saddleback? Why has this been so important to you? Because that will help me understand where their feelings are coming from. And you're trying to listen for clues of why they're reacting the way they are reacting. Was just in a situation with someone who was very upset about something Andy had said. And when you understood her background, you understood why she was so agitated. And again, we're getting to it, but for in this part of the conversation, you just want to acknowledge, I can understand why you're feeling that way because of, some of the stories you told me about your background or some of the things that you've known about them. So you want to validate their feelings that they're having.
I like that. I like how you said listen for clues. And I'm also thinking, Steve, about what you said about during COVID, you had hundreds of these meetings. I mean, I don't even know how you survive that, but that's crazy. Hundreds of meetings like this with upset, angry people. I guess the point is you've lived this out, right?
Yeah, it's uh people are predictable, let's put it that way. It's funny how you can wonder about that, but people are super predictable in who they are, and I'm the same way. I am the same way, and this is the thing you got to understand. You start to understand if Ohio State loses. If you knew my story, how my dad and I, from when I was a little guy all the way through, we attended games together. It was a bonding part for us. It's very special to me. So if we do lose, I will hate Eric, but just for a little bit. Just for a little bit. Actually, I won't hate Eric, but he'll understand my feelings because he knows my background.
That's right. And I know that if we win, not to even text you, don't even communicate.
It, it is amazing how many of you, and you know who you are, you take great pride in sending me a text or two or a meme or two. That is not godly. You know that. So just,
All right, our next one is offer practical support if appropriate. What's that mean?
yeah. And basically, this is trying to find out what are they looking for anything to be done. I've had people that have barked at us because they say we're gospel light or we don't have enough scripture. But I've been just letting them know what is it that you want done. Try to build finding out what is it that could help them out. Now, if they're coming from a very extreme thing, there's part of the reality. You just got to say, well, this is where our church is at. This is what we're doing. There's some people that don't like that we don't go verse by verse, or sometimes when we're going verse by verse, this is the crack up. Sometimes when we're going verse by verse, some people are saying, well, it wasn't relevant to me. And so part of it, you just got to help them see the general piece. But it starts by saying, is there anything you want done? Because sometimes they will say, I just wanted someone to hear me out. And that's great. Sometimes you're trying to solve a problem that they don't want solved. So just make sure you find out, is there anything that they're looking for you to do or for you, the church, to make happen?
That's great. Offer practical support if appropriate. If they're asking for the pastor to be fired, you probably can't do a whole lot about that.
Yeah, that is both sure. Both
All
sure.
right, next one is we got suggest a distraction or activity. Break that down.
Yeah, sometimes, and I know this is true in my own life, but sometimes we get in such a bubble that Jesus isn't a part of our bubble. And I'll say in the situations right now, like when you're talking earlier about Charlie Kirk or from the Ukrainian lady that was stabbed or some, there are times that people get locked so much in sound bites that you've got to suggest an activity for them to do. And one of the things I love to suggest for people to do is to take a fast from TV and see if that de-escalates some of the feelings you have. But not only just take a fast from TV or social media, but be able to engage in a Bible study. There's lots of ones in the Psalms that are relaxing to people that can help them out. But part of what you want to do is to say, "Hey, could you go on a journey with me, just for a week? And I'm happy to meet with you 7 days from now, but could you do activity X, Y, or Z?" And in the show notes, you'll see a couple things that I listed out. But the point is there is that you've got to disengage from people who are getting wrapped into sound bites and locked in. They're spending more time in Facebook than the good book, and so you want to make sure that they are getting tied into this disengaging, because again, in today's world that we're living in with AI, algorithms see what you look at and they will keep feeding that to you. So you got to understand you have a culture that is working against you. So just keep that in mind.
Great point about the algorithms, which is why I often refer to Facebook as fake book.
I like that.
All right. So that was offer practical support, or that was, I'm sorry, suggest a distraction activity, which moves us
Yep.
to the next one on the list. Remind them of your support.
And again, this is just really simple. Just say, I'm here for you. I'm your pastor. I care about you. We care about you. We love you. We want to help you and stuff like that. Using things like, I'm here for you. You're not alone in this. We'll be by. I can meet with you tomorrow if you need it. Again, depending on the previous points and the setups and the clues that you're learning about them, you'll be able to just offer the support will be a big piece of them knowing that you are there for them. And I always tell people, I'm not the enemy. I am not the enemy. I am your friend. I am your pastor. I'm here for you. We will get through this if you will just hang with me.
And this point is so key because in the life of a church, you know, everybody wants to be connected to the lead pastor, but he's so busy, he can only do so much, right? So
Yep.
without the under shepherds doing this, what you're describing in this list, but especially this one of I'm here for you, we're getting together over coffee, we're talking. That is like the glue in so many ways. It's holding everything together, holding the church together, being the arm of the pastor and doing what you can. It's just so key. I can think of so many times in my ministry past with upset people where just getting it together and trying to support them kept them from leaving, right? So that's a great one. Number 8, encourage self care.
Yeah, on this one, you're really trying to summarize things that you've heard throughout the whole conversation, because a lot of times people, they may not be getting enough sleep. They may be so strung out. They may have, 4 kids. They're running around. They're doing sports. They're doing all kinds of things. But you got to help them figure out how are they taking care of themselves, and more importantly, this is all in line with spiritually. How are you taking care of yourself spiritually, and maybe suggest to them doing the quiet time. This kind of goes in with offering an activity or a distraction, but you want to come alongside them and just be able to say hey, can you breathe, can you take a moment, and so many of these points all play together with each other. But what you want to do is you want to be able just to say, how are you getting that self-care, and getting them to acknowledge. Now they may be in their Bible all the time, but what I have found, and you hate to say 99% of the time, but more times than not, I will say this: people have uh, time in God's word, time in their quiet time, time in meditative exercises, with the Holy Spirit, have shrunk by this point that they're only feeding themselves. So generally, more times than not, there's not much self care.
Great one. Self care. Encourage self care. And then next we've got avoid minimizing their feelings. What's that look like?
Yeah, this it's basically saying you're just if you say this is not a big deal, you shouldn't be feeling this way. Uh, you know, you're in the minority. Nobody is dealing with things like this. Whenever you're minimizing their feelings, you are guaranteed to maybe even get some coffee thrown in your face at that point in time. But just don't minimize their feelings. Don't say you're overreaching. Don't say things like that. But be able to de-escalate a situation, and that's one way not
So don't say something like, this isn't really that big of a deal. Come on. Pull up your bootstraps. All right. Next, we've got don't offer unsolicited advice.
Yeah. And again, this is where it's more of an art than a science. But the main thing is that there's a point in pastoral care and ministry you do want to offer some advice to them. But I'll give that to you in just a second. Um, but in this particular thing is if they're not asking for anything, the ground is not ready to receive any seeds that you're trying to plant. And again, you may have to listen to them and stuff like that. You can always come back and ask them, hey, could I offer you, thought based on talking to, a number of people that have found this to be helpful for them and see how they respond to it. But just tuck in the back of your brain, if they're not asking for it, you may not be able to provide it.
Yeah. So you're saying if they're not asking for, opinions or solutions, don't be sitting there trying to fix the problem. And, because a lot of people are fixers, right? They want to just fix this. And so you're saying now's not the time for that. Just listen unless they're asking.
You bring up a great point, Derek, based on your personality, because I am a fixer. I mean, you give me something, I'll grind it out, and I'm glad you bring up that point because that is so important for me to know about who I am. So because I'm like going, dude, I can tell you how it's going to happen, but uh, sometimes they're not there.
Sounds good. Okay, and next we've got share a relevant experience briefly and cautiously.
Yes. And I think this is our last point, and then we have two little bonus things for you to think about, but Derek, you can correct me on that one. But the main thing about this one is this is the flip side, the other side of the coin of the point we just had. And sometimes you can see if if they're even open to some things that have helped other people that you've seen and or experiencing your pastoral time together. And again, this point and the other point are, same side of the same coin. I mean, different sides of the same coin. And again, it's an art to be able to know how to deal with this, but you want to be able to say, Holy Spirit, guide me, because sometimes there is a point where you can say to somebody, "Hey, I've seen this before. Can I help? Can I help you with it, or can I give you a couple thoughts of what they did? May not work for you, but something that they did to help them out, and that's going to be a super important thing."
Great point. Make sure the conversation's not about you at this point. Keep the focus on them. Okay, well that wraps up the 10, the Big 10, and then we've got a couple bonuses after that.
I think it's very apropos that you said the Big Ten, because talking about college sports is well because we know which league is the best. But yet I digress from my friends who are Alabama friends who are right now feeling the low tide, not roll tide. But two
Sorry,
two
Daniel.
things to keep in mind. A couple things to keep in mind. Be patient. Um, one coffee, one meeting together isn't going to fix a problem that's been brewing for months and months and months. And so you want to be patient. The other thing is, and this is hard for us as pastors and key ministry leaders in your church, you can't force them to change their mind if they don't want to. There's sometimes we just part ways and just, I even say, my heart's grieved. I wish we could, at least be at a place where you're not bringing your resolution to this thing right away. And so just tuck those away, but you got to be patient and you got to remember that you can't make them do something that they don't want to do. But what you can do is you can pray and just ask God just to bring restoration, to bring harmony, to bring unity, and just see what happens. And you never know when you guys part after you've had a chat, there may be an incredible opportunity with God's Spirit that they come back or they hunt you down or something like that. And I guess hunt you down. But they try to find you and to say, hey, you know what, God's been doing something in my heart. They may not be happy, but they're willing to see what God will do and not disengage. So I think most people deep down, they, by the time you're setting things up, and by the time you even have a chance to apply the Big Ten that we gave you, it's just, it's been brewing for a while. And so unfortunately, you're not going to fix it too quick. But from my experience, the setup and these 10 things will help you immensely as you're dealing with upset people. And maybe, Derek, our teams will end in a tie, and then we'll be happy.
Is that still legal, a tie?
No, it's not, but only in pro. But I'm praying.
That was a great last bonus point there. Be patient, hope for the best, but also don't be surprised if it turns into a Paul and Barnabas situation, right?
Yeah, and the possibilities of things separating in the New Testament, we definitely see that, with Paul and Mark and Barnabas playing a big role in trying to be a peacekeeper and all that. So it is a situation that is sometimes uninevitable, and we may not understand it, but we trust God that He's moving the chess pieces around for a reason. So we just take it from there.
Well, there you go. And after we beat you, I'll be very patient. I'll continue to offer support to help you navigate your feelings.
Thank you very much. I may need that. I just may need that. And just remember, don't text. And if you're listening, don't text. I'll appreciate a silence. I'll appreciate some quiet time on Saturday evening.
No texting. I'll just wait for your congratulatory text when your heart's softened.
It may come after the show is aired. So, but be patient. Be patient, Derek. Put that point in there. Be patient.
Well, there are the 10 ways to facilitate a meeting with somebody who is upset. We hope that those really help you out and empower you as you deal with upset people in your small group ministry or church. And Steve, anything else to say before we close?
No, just take a peek at the show notes. That'll probably help you out and kind of make up for all the things that I didn't cover with that, or Derek didn't cover. And just be patient with people. God gave it to you to take care of, so take care of their souls well.
And I got to close with, look at the color combinations here. What is this, scarlet and gray and black, or do you like the royal purple and gold? Royalty.
Oh, I can kind of see where this is going. Obviously, you have not really let those 10 points saturate into your heart yet, so you may want to go back, listen to the show. Just listen to the show.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. Have a great month of October, and we will see you next month.
All right. God bless, guys.
Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. If you'd like to go deeper and get more resources or join the Small Group Network, just head over to smallgroupnetwork.com. We'll see you next time.